Okay.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to
Hey, good morning, good evening, good night.
Those were greetings. Great job, Summer. Those are wonderful
Have
examples.
you seen The Truman Show?
No.
Good
What?
morning. And if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Okay. Very well done. Thanks, Sar. Okay. Introduce yourself and tell us. Okay. What is the best? What is the What? Okay. I got a good one. What was the most movie you saw? You
Yes, indeed.
So, go ahead and tell us a little about yourself, Sahar. Introduce yourself.
So my name is Sahar. I am originally from Iran. Oh my God, it rhymes. I'm Sahar. I'm originally from Iran, and I've lived. I know it doesn't. Just go with the flow. And I've lived in Italy for 15 years. And tonight I'm having fish for dinner.
Oh, good. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Welcome, guys. To those of you just arriving, go ahead and introduce yourselves in the comment section. Let us know where you're from and tell us what was the most thrilling movie you last saw.
Oh God.
The most thrilling
Did I
movie.
tell you about the movie that I saw?
No.
The Midsommar.
Oh, yes, yes. I want to watch it so badly.
So creepy.
Well, how?
It was so creepy. Like the whole because it was a cult. It was the story of a cult of a Swedish, I think, cult, and I wasn't ready for it.
Well, okay, since the introduction question is to talk about the most thrilling movie you last saw, give us, tell us a little bit more about this movie.
Me?
Yeah, you.
So basically, I'm gonna try not to spoil, but it's about a couple of friends that decide to follow one of their other friends to go to this festival, is what they call it always. It's like a festival of ancient tradition of basically it's pagan. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think they mention it at the beginning of the movie. And when they go there, it's actually not as sunshiny as they show it on the movie. Because
Okay.
like what thrilled me the most was the fact that it was like complete daylight.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, when I think of horrors, I associate them with darkness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it was just like now I'm afraid of both the day and the night.
Oh, good. So now you're afraid of everything. I understand.
Yeah. No, but now I'm watching Westworld. I don't know if you know the. Do you know it, Westworld?
I've heard it. Heard of it. Is it a series?
It's a TV series, yeah. And at the beginning, there's also Anthony Hopkins,
Oh,
and it's really cool because it's about basically human robots, like robots that are human,
interesting.
that look very human and behave human.
Okay,
Yeah.
like Blade Runner, kind of. Okay,
Sorry,
like
I've
Blade.
never seen Blade Runner.
Really? It's
Yeah, that's
good.
bad. I know there's also Harrison Ford. How have I like?
Where have you been? It's young
Where have I
Harrison.
been?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
young Harrison Ford. Yeah,
that's true.
and you, Kate, a thrilling movie? Let me go
Uh,
get my glasses. 1 second.
okay, I don't know about movies. I will say that the most thrilling thing I last listened to is
I'll go get it later.
your microphone, darling. It's a little okay. Good. Okay. Yeah, the last thing that I it wasn't a TV series, it was a podcast that I listened to. And it was quite thrilling, actually. It's called the Magnus Archives. And it's kind of an eldritch horror podcast that is quite suspenseful, and it's like a series of little episodes, right? So each one is vignettes, and they're quite unsettling stories, but without being like over the top. And so
Like, what do you mean with unsettling? Like, are they horror stories, as in there is a guy who kills everyone?
no, it's more like you see a shape in the distance and you
Oh
don't
no.
know what that shape is. As you get closer, you realize that it can't be human, that kind of thing. And there are a lot of things
Can you
where
listen to this stuff?
yes, because I think it's far more interesting than like something that's just full of blood and guts and is supposed to make you afraid in that regard. That's easy. That's what I think is low-hanging fruit, which is an expression for our viewers.
Low-hanging fruit.
An expression that means that it's easy. It's easy to get to, okay? It's something that is easy to do. Means that something is easy and maybe not very valuable. Okay. So I think that that kind of horror is quite cheap. It's low-hanging fruit. But I love the idea of trying to make it more subtle, where it's really the unknowns. It's what they don't say that makes you feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Where the imagination is sort of doing the work. And I like that. It's cool.
So basically, do you see these images getting closer to you, or you just listen?
You're just listening, and it's a story. It's just like each episode is a different person's story.
Yeah.
From the first person view, they're just telling you about an experience they had, men, women, old, young.
And these are just normal women, men and women. Like,
yeah, they're just regular people telling their stories. But the person who is reading these statements, because it's the same person every time, it begins to kind of put it all together into a bigger story. So it's quite great.
And do these people survive?
Well, season 5 is coming out. Oh, do you mean the regular people? Some do, some don't. All of them are survivors because they have to live to tell their stories, but you get the feeling that maybe afterwards some of them make it and some move far, far away and change their names.
Really?
And they're okay.
That's bad. Why would you tell me that story now? Like, I'm afraid someone's behind me.
You're fine. Don't worry. Okay. So that's just some interesting stuff. If you are here with us, go ahead and introduce yourselves. Tell us what was the most thrilling movie or story that you last saw, read, or heard, and put it in the comments. And I have something in my throat.
She muted.
Yes, I did.
Oh, another interesting story is, I mean, I stopped listening to it because it really, I am very sensitive. So these kinds of stuff aren't my cup of tea.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to this, what's it called? Podcast about murders that have happened in mostly in the United States. I know, don't act so surprised. And basically, there are two guys who research the stories and talk to each other. So who's the victim, who is the suspect, etc. But some of them are so creepy that I'm like, okay, that's it, not done for today. Mm-hmm. It's not happening. Yeah. One of them in particular is, can I say it?
Sure.
One of them in particular was about this guy who basically just in the middle of the night decides to go to his dad's, but his dad lives.
Maybe we shouldn't say it. Okay. All
2
right.
hours away.
Yeah, scary. Okay. So
you know what else is scary?
What?
Natural disasters.
Great. Yeah, why don't we pivot to that? That's a great idea. Good. So, here we go. natural disasters. Let's have a look. Can you read that for me, Sahar?
Yes, in this focus activity, vocabulary for natural disasters, present perfect versus past simple to talk about recent world disasters, preparing a safety plan, an interview with a survivor. I just kind of feel this relates to us in a way.
It's possible. All right.
Or maybe just like how I feel.
I think it's a bit of both, honestly, but I really think it might relate to us in some way. Anyway, but it's fine. For now, let's ask our viewers. If you are with us, let us know, what do you think are natural disasters? If you had to give them a definition, what are they? What do you think, Sahar?
Natural disasters is what Moses did when he sent the plagues to Egypt. It's an example.
I mean, natural disasters are what happened after Moses sent the plagues to Egypt.
Exactly. But
Okay.
also, like, he sent the plague. So, for example, natural disasters are not human made, even though Moses is not really human. He's a prophet, but also it was God's plan. Anyway, so yeah, it's basically all nature's fault. So if there's a tsunami, it's usually because there was an earthquake underneath the sea and the waves whoosh, arrived. If there's a tornado, it's not humans' fault. And if there's a volcano eruption, also not a human fault. I could go on.
Oh, this is good. Okay, so let's try. So these are good descriptions of how these natural disasters work. So you would say a natural disaster is anything outside of our control that causes destruction.
Yes. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
Like we Homo sapiens think that we are so powerful. And yet always when we are faced against nature, we lose. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Fantastic. We are doing Theology Live with Sahar Pakinat. I corrected myself.
Pakistan.
I corrected
Pakistan.
I hope nobody has ever said that to you in your life.
Yes.
Okay. Natural disasters. Anything outside of control that causes anything outside of our control that causes, destruction. Okay. And so I have corrected myself.
You did very well.
Thank you. Yeah, and that was good. So go ahead and read that for me, Sahar, the definition.
Pardon. Natural disasters are extreme sudden events caused by environmental factors that injure people and cause extensive damage. They can strike anywhere in the world, often without warning, and that's the T.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I'm sorry, it came naturally. It's a natural disaster.
Good, well done. All right, really, really nice. Okay, so that was a great definition. Before we go on, actually, please let us know in the comments if you're watching this, if there is any new vocabulary or if there are any new words for you.
I think maybe cause. We can also explain what cause is. To cause as a verb.
Go ahead, let us know. What is cause, Sahar?
I don't know. I'm kidding. It was just to be the student in the situation. To cause means to not to provoke, but to make it happen. So it is caused by environmental factors. It means that the environmental factors make this happen. It's what they did.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, like how else to explain that?
Okay, no, this is perfect. Yeah. To be the source of something.
Oh, good. Yeah, to be the source.
Yeah, exactly. We would say cause, to make something happen or to be the source of something good. So that's nice, to make something happen. We can also talk about things like injure. To injure is similar to harm. It's this verb, okay, which means to get hurt. Yeah. Okay. To hurt.
Yeah.
To cause damage.
Yeah, to hurt someone, usually something. You injure someone, you can even say you injure yourself.
Yeah,
But
sure.
this verb has to be connected to
Mhm.
something, some person.
Usually a person, yes. Sometimes also an idea, like to injure my reputation, okay?
Oh,
Or to injure my pride.
that's even worse.
Yeah, so it's so but in general it's something that causes harm. Yeah, you always need an object. Something receives the harm. All right.
Mhm.
Let's keep going. Okay. So let's think of different natural disasters that can happen. So, for example, what's one, Sahar? A natural disaster, any natural disaster.
Earthquake.
Yeah, I was gonna don't. I know you're thinking. Okay. All right, an earthquake. That's good. Fantastic. If you guys are listening in now or later, please let us know in the comments or follow along and think of some natural disasters with us. So, what are some other natural disasters?
A plague.
Okay, a plague or a pandemic. Good. And we also have an earthquake. What else? We can have a
Tsunami.
So let's describe these things. Okay, so let's start with an earthquake. What is an earthquake?
This is an earthquake.
Great. Can we get a verbal definition?
when
Aftershock. Okay.
It's an earthquake. It's when the earth starts shaking. When
Okay.
two plaques hit and like together or go over one another. Yes, that is the scientific definition. Another definition is what happened in Italy a few years ago in Imola, I think in Pianura Padana actually, and what happens a lot in California because like the whole plague thing that it like they do like this.
Begin to generate pressure by rubbing together or otherwise colliding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is a very scientific definition of an earthquake, but yes. Earthquake, noun. When the earth begins to shake, two tectonic plates beneath the earth begin to generate pressure by rubbing together, otherwise colliding. That is an earthquake. We had one here.
You wanted to say that's the T.
No. But we had one here, like Sahar said, good, in 2012 as well.
No, it was in 2012.
Yeah, it was pretty catastrophic. It was, which is a way to say bad. It was really bad for certain areas.
No, earthquakes are not like between all the natural disasters are my least favorite. Not that I have a favorite natural disaster.
It's like a rank.
I rank them. No, but like those earthquakes in 2012, I also felt them when I was in Verona. Mm-hmm. The feeling is horrible because like you literally cannot do anything about it. Also, all other natural disasters. So like, but that's the only one I experienced. So.
No, it makes sense. Honestly, we have a bit of psychological trauma, right? When we have a specific experience with a natural disaster. It makes perfect sense. Okay. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
What is a hurricane, Sahar? Let us know. What do you think?
A hurricane is... I'm thinking of the scientific word, but basically it's when the wind starts swirling in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction, and it creates this little swirl that you can see, like for example in Hercules, the cartoon, or otherwise it's very common in America.
Wait, a hurricane or a tornado? with
What
the
are we talking about? The tornado or the hurricane?
hurricane.
Oh, sorry, I was talking about the tornado.
Okay, well that's a
Yeah.
tornado. Okay,
Yeah.
no worries. Yeah, exactly. When a tornado, we'll say it one more time. Yeah, a tornado, good, is when the wind moves in a circle. Okay, and
Mhm.
when the wind becomes powerful.
Wasn't it the same as a hurricane?
No, not even. Nope, nope, nope.
What is a hurricane then?
A hurricane is when you have an incredibly powerful storm. Such a strong storm with rain and
Ah.
lightning and thunder, and also really a lot of strong winds, that it floods a lot of areas. It destroys property, so it breaks windows and rips out trees. And it, in general, is very dangerous. So we say very dangerous storm. Okay.
Mhm.
When the wind becomes powerful, moving in a circle that, okay, moving in a circle. It's powerful enough to lift an entire house, moving in a small circle across a flat plane. And I don't know the science behind tornadoes. I wish I did. I'm sure it has to do with air pressure. I don't know more than that. Tornado, entire house moving in a small circle across flat. So another thing, yeah, the hurricane. A hurricane is a very, very powerful storm that causes flooding and
Oh, another natural disaster, flooding, flood.
and this is another thing that we face in our area. We are from Bologna. So that is near the River Po, among other things. And for that reason, we have, of course, a lot of flash floods.
Mhm.
A flash flood is a flood that happens very quickly. And what is a flood, Sahar?
A flood is basically when there is too much water on the land and it just stays there. So it's basically having a lot of water that either comes out of the river or also out of the sewers, and the streets are covered in water. That's what happens. Also, like after a tsunami, for example.
Mm-hmm. Good job. Yeah. So, flood. When water rises from rivers and seas, often during powerful storms, spilling onto the land. Good. Yeah. Venice suffers a great deal from flooding.
Mhm.
Venice floods constantly, all the
Yeah.
time. All the
That's
time.
like it became it floods so many times that it became a tourist attraction.
Yeah. The actual flooding itself has
Yeah.
become kind of a cute thing for tourists, which it's not cute for the people who live there.
No. I have a friend who lives there actually.
Mhm.
And like he sent me pictures of the situation when there's flooding. I'm like, how do you still live there?
Yeah, it's difficult. But hi, we have Titi. Hi,
We have a visitor. Hello.
welcome to the webinar. Introduce yourself and tell us where are you from?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of natural disasters are there?
Yeah, so here we've spoken about hurricanes, floods, earthquakes. So yeah, you tell us as well. What are some other natural disasters that you can think of?
Me personally, I can think of also volcanic eruption.
Yeah, okay. And what is that?
Volcanic eruption, well, it's like what happened in Pompeii.
Mm-hmm.
There's a volcano, a mountain that has lava inside of it, and it
Okay.
exploded.
Exactly. A mountain with a very hot.
Mm-hmm. It's very hot, yeah. Have you
Okay.
ever been to Pompeii, Kate?
Due to rising pressures. No, I want to go to Pompeii. We have Titi. So you say you are from Bari. Well, welcome from Bari.
Welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
No, Bari, there are no natural disasters. Bari is the paradise. The south of Italy is the paradise of Italy.
It is a paradise, that's for sure. Okay. So why don't I reveal this list and we can talk about each one. So let's look at a tsunami. What is a tsunami, Sahar?
It's the underwater earthquake.
But what happens also?
It also happens that if there's a city, well, let's imagine there's not a city. With these earthquakes under the sea, there are a lot of waves, big waves that are created. And if there is land, it just basically just goes onto the land and destroys everything around it.
Yeah. So, for example, in Japan, they had a very big natural disaster, I believe in 2010
I think so, yeah, 2010.
or
But
2011.
also in Thailand, always in 2000, I think 12, maybe 2004.
Yes, absolutely. Good. Well, not good.
I have an audience that tells me which year happened.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Thank you, audience. So yeah, a tsunami is an underwater earthquake that causes a huge wave, okay? What we call a wall of water. It spills onto the land and causes destruction, okay? So like in Japan with Fukushima and the reactor, there is a big wall of water like this that, boom, hit the land and destroyed the reactor and destroyed many other places as well in Japan. Oh, don't worry. We all have some internet problems sometimes. It's normal.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, let us know if you can hear us. If you have any questions as well. Heat wave. What is a heat wave? Titi, do you know what a heat wave is?
Yeah.
If you know, go ahead and let us know. Sahar, what is a heat wave?
If I'm not wrong, a heat wave is what happens when it's too hot. Yeah, the moment where there is a lot of heat coming suddenly and the temperatures rise.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't want to be dramatic, but I think it's what happens in Bologna in summer.
A very long, period of time. Good. So yeah, exactly. Heat wave. Intense heat and rising temperatures over a prolonged, which is a very long, period of time. Good. Happens. Oh, okay, here we have some.
When the land, well, you can say, can you bring up the definition you used, Kate?
Sure, of course. So let me see if I can actually scroll up here. Let's go. So here we go. Yeah, an earthquake. When the earth begins to shake. Right. Okay. That's
so basically
right.
the plates break and start to slide onto another.
Exactly. Good, Titi. Yeah. Now remember, earthquakes. Earthquakes happen. So you want the final S when the land, and you would like to also have break when the land breaks. Yeah, broke is the past. Good. All right, nice. Okay, let's look at maybe
Avalanche.
Yeah.
Avalanche.
What is an avalanche?
Avalanche. I think I'm like pronouncing it wrong. because I pronounce it French. It's when you go, for example, on the mountains when it's the winter and there's snow, and you start shouting, and the snow just like drops.
On a
Or
mountain, typically, or from a great height. Yeah, exactly. When snow falls from the top of a mountain, typically, or from otherwise from a great height. Good. Okay. Yes.
oh my god, we did it at the same time with the same hand.
Nice. Really cool. So you and I are like in sync.
In sync, yes.
Telepathy. So yeah, when snow falls from the top of a mountain, typically, or from a great height. So they're very, very well done. Don't know why I stopped in the middle of that compliment. Good. Okay. So there are a few more, but I think we can move on. Let's talk about the question. What do you think is the worst type of natural disaster and why? So, Sahar, you said it before. Why don't you tell us again? What is for you the worst?
For me, the worst has to be, well, I as I said, earthquake. But now that I think about it, I was a child when the tsunami in Thailand and also India happened. And I remember I was very shocked by it, and I was very afraid that it would also happen to me. So maybe a tsunami is something that I'm terrified of.
Okay, a tsunami. All right. Yeah, let us know, Titi. What for you? What is the worst? What is the natural disaster that scares you, or that you think is the worst? For you, is it's not.
What's a landslide? We can also look at those other words.
And a landslide brings us.
A landslide is basically an avalanche, but with rocks.
Yeah, with dirt. Yeah, exactly. Landslides. With rocks. Yes, good. And dirt. Right. See, also avalanche.
And then a blizzard is what happens very commonly in Canada or in other northern countries. It's basically very strong snow.
Yeah, exactly. You said a blizzard. Okay. Hi, if you're just joining us, please introduce yourselves and let us know in the comments which is the worst natural disaster in your opinion. Blizzards. Okay. So a blizzard in this situation, okay, is a powerful snowstorm. Exactly. Okay.
God, these glasses actually protect me from another, but this is not a natural disaster, like the screen of the computer.
So the landslides.
We also have to have a look at drought.
Okay, what is a drought?
Drought is what happened a lot and still happens in the Middle East. And it's when there is no more water. There is a deficiency of water. There is no water.
Yeah, exactly. When a long period without rain causes rivers and lakes to go dry, leading to a shortage of water. This is a big problem. It's not easy to live, and I know like this. In our previous summer, not this last year, but I believe in 2018, maybe. The summer was so intense, and we didn't have rain for such a long time.
Where?
That there was a drought. It was closer to Rome.
Oh, okay.
I know that they were also here a little bit, but they started to ration water in Rome. Here, it didn't get so bad, but in Rome, it was quite bad. Okay.
Oh, you too, Titi. I'm
Mm-hmm.
afraid of tsunamis.
Tsunami. Good, good.
So many times I had nightmares because I thought I was assisting to tsunamis and I was overwhelmed by the waves. Very good though.
Yeah.
Very great choice of vocabulary.
Mhm. Yeah. Remember your final ask. So you're afraid of tsunamis. When we speak in general, we add that S, but really good job. Okay. So many times. Now that is the third person S. Okay, good. I had nightmares.
Mhm.
All right, good.
What is yours, Kate?
Mine. Ooh. My nightmare. They're all bad.
Well, the,
They're all bad.
yes.
Let's see. Death by fire. Yeah, I would say maybe a volcanic eruption, because the falling ash at first seems so gentle and peaceful, and then it entombs you in this. It's a slow death. It's not, and I mean, unless you're very close to the volcano, um, it's it's gonna take some time.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, or
Wow.
a hurricane.
No, hurricane.
Maybe a hurricane.
Yeah.
I don't want to drown.
Another thing that I would add maybe to the list is famine.
What is a famine?
So if drought is absence of water, famine is absence of food.
Mm-hmm. So, drought. Yes, exactly. Okay, the absence or scarcity of food. So what does that mean? It means there is no food. Ah, okay. I wrote that in the definition as well. The absence or scarcity. Zero food. Not good. It happens sometimes. For example, in Ireland, they experienced a terrible famine because
Potato famine.
yeah, they relied so much. They needed the potatoes so much that when there were no potatoes, they began to die. It was horrible.
No, like I studied this economically, and what happened in Ireland is actually something that economically maybe never happens. So usually when you have a certain amount of goods, let's say you have a lot of goods, and it's very easy to find them, it's usually cheaper. So
Yeah.
in that period, potatoes were the cheapest thing that Irish people could afford.
Mhm.
And then there was like a virus that hit the potatoes. There was a disease on the potatoes, so people couldn't eat them anymore. So their prices went up, and at the same time, people started buying more and more, even though the potatoes weren't good, because they like otherwise they would have died.
Okay. Well, I have to say, I was a theater major in university and I never took an economics class, but that sounds very strange. Yeah. Sounds weird. I don't know. Maybe we can figure that out. All right. Okay. Go ahead and read that for me, Sahar.
Have you or someone you know ever experienced a natural disaster? What happened?
So you talked about this earlier, right? Tell us about your experience with the earthquake.
I experienced it maybe once or twice in my life. Once it was in Iran. It was very, very short and like it didn't hurt a fly. It was a small amount on the Richter scale. I think maybe like 3 or 4, like something like that. Very, very tiny. But I lived on the 10th floor at the time.
Mm.
So it's just like seeing you feel it maybe a little bit more. And just like I remember seeing my chandelier
Mm.
moving, and I and really, really got afraid. And then the other one was in Verona that I woke up from it, and it ended also very quickly. But my parents said, "No, we have to go out. We have to go out."
Yeah. They recommend in the event of an earthquake
Mm-hmm.
to stay where you are if possible,
Yeah.
because typically, like, usually when you leave a place, like, the front of buildings are the first things to collapse.
Oh yeah.
So you will run out of the building and be less safe than you were if you had stayed, if you stay in the building. Okay. Can you read
Oh,
more?
as well in also we say also in Puglia, my region, the people suffered from famine
Mm-hmm.
because the 1930s or since 1930,
Mm-hmm. Good.
the land was drought.
So
The
remember.
land experienced drought.
Yeah, no, this is good. Remember, drought is a noun, so you can't use it to define land, but you can say because there was a drought, and that's perfect. Good. There was a drought since 1930, and it created a famine.
Yeah.
Ah, definitely. That sounds difficult.
Horrible.
I'm sorry.
No, like the only thing that I just, whenever it comes to natural disasters, I always think of Moses and what he did to the Egyptians. And
Okay.
that's so unfair. He just, yeah, so unfair. Have you seen the cartoon?
Do you mean the Prince of Egypt?
Yes.
Of course, I've seen the Prince of
I
Egypt.
love it's my favorite. I
Some
love
of
the
the
Prince of Egypt.
I'm trying. It's got one of the best songs of all time, and I can't remember.
Yeah. Wait, is it the one of the plague?
Maybe also that
The
one.
actual plague song?
No, it's the Hope, Faith.
Oh, maybe, yeah, the last one, basically.
I think it's the last song. Yeah, Prince of Egypt. What a great animated cartoon. Hi, if you are just joining us, and you have a personal story about a natural disaster, please share it in the comments with us. Sahar, have you ever lived through any other natural disasters?
No, just that.
Okay,
What about you?
No, I mean, I would say there was one moment in my life for a very short time where there was a tornado
Where?
that had appeared close to my house, and we were afraid, so we had to hide. But in the end, nothing happened. It was okay. But it passed quite close by. But that tornadoes in Maryland and Delaware.
It happens a lot.
No, it doesn't happen a lot at all. The opposite. It never happens.
So where does it happen? In the South?
Kansas. Places that are flat, so the Midwest. So any place that is quite flat has these air pressure problems.
And
Right.
basically, like in the Southwest, they usually make houses out of wood. That's why it just flies away with them. I remember seeing that movie with Natalie Portman.
Which one? What's the movie?
I have no idea. I always forget the title of the movie, but basically, Natalie Portman is pregnant. She gives birth in Walmart, and then her house is taken away by a tornado.
Oh, poor girl. Okay. We have I attended an earthquake in the 90s, but I don't remember much because I was a child. Okay, good. So
Yeah, no, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
No, actually, I do.
So be careful with attend, because attend is something you use, for example, lectures at university or going to school. It's something that you do with a certain frequency. So I hope you didn't do that with a certain frequency, especially when it came to the earthquake. So yeah, we use experience. I experienced an earthquake.
Yeah. Attend is always for specific events. You go voluntarily. Yeah. Good, good. Okay. The homes, walls, and the floors. And you would say the floors as well. Floors.
The floor shook.
Yeah, it's irregular, but goods. Yeah,
Yeah, very good. Anyway.
yeah. Shook is the past of shake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, man, that is scary. Scary. Okay, let's look here. Okay. Um. All right. So, have there been any natural disasters in the world recently?
Well, we're living through it right now.
Yes. Not. I don't think it's useful to avoid talking about the reason why we're doing these webinars. There is a pandemic currently of coronavirus. Perhaps our children will look back upon these webinars as
Yeah.
of historical evidence.
Oh my God, that's true.
Wow. It's almost like this is a portrait of the time now. So yeah, it's quite a serious situation. I don't think we need to discuss it at too much length, since all we do all day long is read about coronavirus. So
I agree with you.
yeah. Which natural disasters occur in your country in general? So you are from Italy, but also from Iran. So tell us, Sahar, in Iran, are there some other natural disasters that happen?
We experience drought a lot in summer, especially, and more specifically in the southwest of Iran.
Mm-hmm.
That happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very sad because, for example, when you go to Tehran, which is the capital, or big cities, you don't even realize it. But there is a big crisis in the Middle East because of the short scarcity of water.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we experienced one very bad earthquake a lot of years ago, maybe in the late 90s, and it destroyed the city completely.
Ooh, gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds difficult. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have earthquakes here as well in Italy. I know, and also we have volcanic eruptions here.
Oh, yeah.
And in America also we have everything. I mean,
You have everything.
almost everything. Hurricanes, maybe
Bushfires.
yes. A big problem when I moved to the West Coast. This became a big part of my consciousness, my mind. Right. During the summer, when I lived in Portland, the fires in the trees in the forests, right? There would become so intense that the smoke from the fires that were kilometers and so many kilometers away would reach the city, and
no way.
Yeah, you couldn't see, you could barely breathe. Sometimes there would be warnings where they tell you to stay at home because the air quality was so poor. Yeah, it was bad.
That's also, like a reminder. That's also what happened in Australia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, Titi. Well done. Yeah, in the world recently, there have been goods. There have been bush, like for example, the bushfire in Australia. Wild animals like kangaroos and pandas died. True, very true. Very.
And now they're entering winter, so hopefully.
Well, yeah, it's winter there. It's no, it's not winter there.
Oh, winter. We're entering summer. They're entering winter.
We're in spring. We're not.
Yeah, but we're entering summer. So they're basically autumn.
March. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's autumn there, but yes, they will enter winter as we enter summer. That's correct. Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys. Actually, Titi, we have to go now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was very nice having you with us, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yes, it's always a pleasure to be with you, Sahar, and thank you guys so much for joining us. And one more time, Facebook, look for our page, Maya's SOS English. If you have any burning grammar questions, or you just want to see, what kinds of responses other people get when they ask questions, like our Facebook page, and follow us there. One more time, that's Maya's SOS English. Check out. And that's on Facebook. It's on Facebook. All right.
And that's it.
And that's it. We'll see you guys around, and take care.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.